Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and video show which brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you won't miss a new episode. I'm your host, Frits Bussemaker, and today I'm delighted and privileged to have a conversation with Makayla Galler. Makayla, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me introduce Makayla. Makayla's profile is not your typical guest on The Brand Called You, and you'll find out in a minute. Now, Makayla, you're still in high school in Denver, Colorado, but looking at your profile, it does feel like you belong here. You got a GPA of 4.0, so you're in the gold honor roll. That itself is not enough, but you're also in the Wings Aerospace Pathways high school program. You're doing the space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. You have a number of scholarships, all in aviation, and we'll find out why later. And you are involved in a number of associations, all related to aviation. So there's going to be just one topic today, and that's flying and your love for flying. Because Makayla, you are a pilot.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Okay, now, in most cases, kids your age, people your age, don't have a clue what they're going to do after high school. But it seems you got your career planned out. Am I right?
I definitely have a plan, but at this point, I'm still in high school, so there's a lot of big decisions I have to make when I'm a little older. But I'm looking at everything I can do right now to improve my chances of accomplishing my main goal is becoming an astronaut. And through that, I'm trying to keep my grades really high and at the same time taking college courses to keep me up and see different ways I can study different new ideas. And while I'm also taking those, I am also finished my private pilot's license with my glider rating. And I'm now working on fixed wing. So now I'm flying powered airplanes and trying to get my private with that. And I'm also part of the STEM program, Wings of the Rockies Aerospace Pathways, which allows me to be a part of this team called Stellar Explorers, which allows me to work with rockets and satellites and program them. And through that same program, we were able to build an RV-12 build. So it's an airplane and it's fully functional. And I personally got to fly in it. I was the first woman out of my whole high school class to get a chance to fly in our high school built aircraft. And I think the best part was flying in it because as we were flying, it just amazed me that all my friends and I, we spent 4 years building it and it finally was able to take flight.
Wow, that must feel amazing to fly in something you've built with your own hands, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, where does this passion, this fascination, where did it come from? How did it start?
It didn't start with just one main event. It came from many small events, such as when I was younger, my friends and I would hang out and dress up. And all they would want to do is dress up as fairies and princesses, when I would dress up as a pilot, scientist, or an astronaut and want to fly them around in a cool, awesome looking jet. And from that, I used to visit the Air and Space museums, and I see myself in Amelia Earhart and see, wow, what an amazing thing she was able to do. And I also think that just my passion for it really drew me closer to be a part of this program called Young Eagles. It's a program for students who find interest in aviation. And through that, I was able to take a discovery flight. And I think that really got me hooked to flying. And through that, I was found scholarships to fly, but I was too young to apply for those scholarships to fly powered aircraft. So I saw a glider scholarship and I applied for it. And from a lot of persistence and support of a lot of different people, especially my mom and my flight instructor, less than a year later, I was able to get my private pilot's license with the glider rating. And I think that this day and age, for being so young, the sky is not the limit, especially for being a woman.
Oh, literally, the sky is not the limit if you have the ambition to be an astronaut.
Yes.
That's the one time you can take it literally, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even if you notice you wanted to dress up as a pilot or an astronaut, was that based on experience with your family? I mean, does your family fly, or was it something you discovered in another way?
So my cousin, he's a aerobatics pilot, and he recently got a job to fly A-10s in the
Mhm.
Air Force. There's this time he took me up in an extra with my mom's permission, of course, and mine. He wanted to see what my limits were for being in such a very pressured aircraft, with trying to see how I can handle G's. And because he's my big older cousin, to see if I would be able to throw up, because that's what big older cousins do.
Yeah.
And he did so many flips, rolls, he did barrel rolls, all the things he's been taught to fly in that Pacific aircraft, to see if he can pass my limits, which he never did. And I never threw up. The whole time I could giggle. It was an amazing time. Yeah.
How old were you at the time?
I was 15.
You was 15. So you've already at the age of 15 have experience doing something most people never get the opportunity in their lifetime to do something. Did you realize that at the time? I mean, that's special.
Actually, I didn't really think it was all that special at the beginning, because I thought, well, if anybody wanted to do it, wouldn't they try to push themselves and see if they can apply for it? And then I realized that I thought it was a little more special, because I saw that a lot of people just don't realize that they can actually go for it. Aviation is not this big, wide, like, thing that you can't achieve. It's actually very small in a way, because it's very accessible to a lot of people.
Because when I was doing my research on you, I also noticed that you also spend time already teaching others, showing others the way that they can actually do that. And that is that all part of showing how you can lower the barrel, you can actually do that?
Yeah, like showing them that even being young, you can still go for things. Like, you can become a drone pilot. Like, right now I'm a professional drone pilot. I got my 107's license, and I'm part of the Colorado All-Stars team for drone soccer, and that's accessible to middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Oh,
And
take us a little bit. I mean, you just dropped that in on us. Drone
sorry.
soccer. What is drone soccer? I've never heard about that.
Okay, so drone soccer, do you know what Quidditch from Harry Potter is?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
It's very similar to that, actually. So it's in a cage. I think it's by 10 by 12 feet in height, and there's 5 drones on each side, and they're in a little bit of like a ball-shaped cage around them, so that they can hit other drones, like if they can hit things like the wall, the floor, and not break right away. And the main goal is that each side has one striker, and both strikers have a piece of yarn or string on it to declare it. This is how I'm going to get points. And that striker will go through the other team's goal and then fly all the way back across like a soccer line or the midpoint line to gain that point. And all the other drones have to come back. While the rest of the drones, so the other 4 drones, are the defenders, and they try to stop the striker from getting in. Yeah. And it's in a 3-minute round too.
This indeed sounds quite a lot like Quidditch, the Quidditch game, I guess. I assume there are going to be videos online on YouTube people can watch and just have a look at what this is. I mean, I do remember the Robot Wars, but this is just similar to Robot Wars, only 3D in things that fly.
In a way, I was recently at the World Games this last Saturday, and we had a lot of newsfeed come in and record. I think they're on YouTube that you guys can search up. There's also a few commercials. There's ones from Korea, and they're by a 40 centimeter, and that's a lot larger, and that's for the adults. Ours is, I think, about 20 and much more accessible for kids our age.
Okay. Now, I just have to ask you, is it the thrill of flying? Is it also the technology behind that? Because you just alluded to the fact that you're part of a STEM program. So you are into technology. I mean, is it the whole package, or does something stick out?
I think that being able to see into something so high tech and out of the world, that just how it progressed in time and how much from just a little bit ago we sent someone up to the moon, and seeing from that technology from back then and how much it's advanced to now. And I find it very like impressive because we're just progressing and moving forward.
Yeah. So would that mean if Elon Musk would ask you to come and go with him to Mars, you'd say yes?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
That's my main goal. I
Yeah.
want to become a Mars astronaut.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, I understand the dream and the ambition. Suppose this fails, what would that mean to you?
It'd mean that it wouldn't mean that I lost entirely, because from my path up to reaching that goal, all the things that I had done would have made me very diversely
Mhm.
in the many things I've done, like in science and aviation. And it'd make me very marketable for different workforces to that.
Okay, so there's this end goal which you can reach. If you can reach it, fine, but you realize that there's so many options that even if I can't reach my end goal, there are going to be lots of things I can still do as a pilot looking at aviation, no matter what.
Yes.
So you could maybe follow your cousin and just follow his career path or not. Would that be an idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to fly some fast jets
Yeah.
too, so that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, because I saw that you applied to be part of the U.S. Air Force,
Yes,
and yeah, because you posted a picture of you flying around in a Galaxy plane, I believe.
I
There's
think
C-130.
yes,
Yeah.
that was part of my JROTC, so Air Force ROTC program in high school. And I had recently gone on a Army camp, and I brought all the other surrounding ROTC programs into this one camp. And we were able to challenge ourselves through that. And one of the special things we got to do was fly in a helicopter, a Black Hawk helicopter, and then a C-130.
Okay. Now, is this open for anybody who is interested in that, or do you have to follow particular exams before you're allowed to actually be part of that program?
No, it's just an open high school program. Not all schools have it. So I am personally an out of district cadet.
Mhm.
So I have to commute every morning at 7:30 in the morning and be there, because the rest of the days school days, and there's other times they're doing it. So I'm right up and early for an extracurricular class I really find joy in.
Yeah, but I understand now that that's well worth it if you get to fly up in a Black Hawk or an airline, which most people will not have the opportunity. I understand that. Great. Now, I was just wondering um, what kind of role model are there in your world, role models where you feel like, hey, these are the people you briefly mentioned Amelia Earhart, but are there other people maybe closer by you feel like these are the people who really helped me get where I am at the moment?
I'd say my mom.
Yeah.
My mom was a very big role model for me,
Yeah.
because even though like things were really tough and sometimes it just didn't feel like trying to give up or something, she was always there to support me and encourage me to go farther. And I would also say my cousin,
Mhm.
because he was already a pilot, he gave me like a really good role model of which ways I should go to becoming a pilot. He's the one who actually suggested that I should apply for the scholarship. And he showed me that there's multiple ways that you're able to obtain flight even if you don't have a lot of money.
Okay. Now, what happens when you meet new people and you tell them, okay, I'm a pilot? I mean, I don't know if this is the first thing you're going to mention in a conversation, but do people believe you when you say that?
Most of the time, yes, they seem
Yeah.
very surprised at first
Yeah.
because I do look like I'm a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very small and short. My
Yeah.
sister's taller than me too, so
Yeah.
kind of like an unexpected surprise. But once they hear it, they're like, "Wow, that's amazing!"
Yeah.
And
And
then yeah.
So would that make you also a role model yourself for young kids who see, hey, if you can do that, I could do that as well?
Yes, I think that I'd be a I think people have told me that I've been a really good role model because
Right.
I would go into like women in aviation and I spoke to a bunch of young ladies and girls about how hey, I'm a kid too, and you guys can fly, especially when you're young. You can start with gliders, and it's a really good starting point to fly regular aircraft with powered. And it gives you a good sense of how to fly an aircraft and just the way it flies when you don't have an engine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that well done. And now, so far, it seems like it's been a smooth ride. Have there been any mistakes you've had to learn from, some failures in this journey so far?
Yes, I would say that I've been really focused on improving for my future, even
Mhm.
though I'm still a kid myself. That time-wise, I realized that I don't really have a lot of time because time is really precious and never stops going. So I thought to myself that I should put more time for myself and hang out with my friends because I'm only young once. So I like to hang out with my friends,
Yeah.
go to the pool, and then also hang with my family and go to air shows and personally watch 20 episodes of anime all for myself.
Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, by the way, I assume you've already been to the latest Top Gun film.
Yes.
How many times? More than five, or not too much?
Five. Five.
Oh, oh, actually five. Okay. So,
Yeah.
how realistic is that? What's your assessment?
I think it was pretty realistic from a lot of views because I actually got to see it on my trip with my ROTC program, and everybody's just like, wow, that it gives such a good point of how like Top Gun really is and how they train. And I thought that was really amazing how they were able to get the cockpit shots and the jets coming down at the first scene and go up is amazing.
So, who knows? Maybe in the third version of the film, who knows who's going to be there in that film? I'm looking at you, I guess.
On me? Oh yeah, maybe.
I will see what happens. Now,
Yeah.
so recently in the news, I think it was last year, there was this girl from Belgium who circumnavigated the globe solo. What's your take on that? Is that like a good sample? Hey, I want to do that as well, or was it too risky? What's your take on that?
I think it was a very fantastic accomplishment, especially for being a woman and just showing like, hey, look what we can do. Look what I was able to fly solo globe.
Mhm.
And I really, if I was able to give a chance to meet her, I would go up to her and say, congratulations. I understand how much time and dedication it takes to get to where she was able to go, especially the planning of the weather and fuelage and points where you need to stop. It's just amazing how she was able to do that. I think if I was able to get the chance to do it one day, I would too.
Good. Well, go for it if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything what inspires you to do what you're doing?
Ooh, that's the question. What inspires me to do what I'm doing, correct?
Yeah.
I would say the thrill of exploring new things and experiencing things that is a little bit out of the world, I guess, especially since like when you're flying, when you look at the ground, it's a whole different point of view of the earth than just being stuck on the ground. So it just gives a whole new light to what you can accomplish, especially with flying in wise. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I got that. So, even today, are you able to identify what are your milestones so far? Where so, hey, this really made an impact in my life.
Yeah, I would say that going to space camp was a really big like impact
Okay.
because
And what's Space Camp for the people who don't know? What is Space
space
Camp?
camp space camp is a program for kids from 8 years old up to adults, and you get to experience what an astronaut would potentially be training for, like missions on the shuttle and going to future missions such as Mars. And we also get to try the chair. I'm not really sure, I forgot the name, but it's the one that spins you in all directions.
Mhm.
And then there's also a machine that makes you feel like you're walking on the moon. And then there's underwater scuba diving training that the advanced kids get to go and do. And we build these cages underwater, and we have to use hand signals to talk. And then we also got to launch a rocket, not a real rocket, just
Mhm.
a water rocket
Yeah.
from under the water and launch it to the top by sending a message. And it's a week camp. There's also day camps and weekend camps, just no matter how you have the time for, and it's year long.
Okay. Wow. And is this just for fun, or do you sense that there's still somebody watching there for the natural talent? Look, hey, that's somebody who really want to have in our program.
I think it's I think it might be both. There's been some astronauts come in and they come and speak, and I think they look. And also at Space Camp, all the teams are competing for this thing called Champions Cup. And there's also outstanding teams, and only if you get those. Personally, I haven't been on a team that's gotten the Champions Cup,
Mhm.
but I've been on the outstanding, and I've gotten a letter asking me to come to this thing for 2 weeks instead of a 1 week camp, but 2 weeks to try doing a more advanced type of space camp, which you can only attend if you get a letter. So I think that's how they scout out kids.
Okay. Now, I understand this is definitely a milestone for you. Are
Yes.
there other milestones?
Yes. Going on my first discovery flight, that
Okay.
was a
And
very
what is a discovery flight?
a discovery flight is like a way to show you what your flight training would be, and they during your flight they let you fly the airplane, get you have a feel of it, what the controls do, what you can do in the maneuvers, and how far you can bank, stuff like that. And then you're also able to see the calls on the radio and talk to tower and see, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do when I'm at the airport, when I'm asking to come and land, or when I'm taxing. And then it just gives you an idea of what the training for becoming a pilot really is like. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, no, I understand those two milestones. Those are those first achievements. Um, what I find fascinating in talking to you is you have mentioned yourself, I'm still a kid, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like somebody, a person who knows what she wants to do, and just does it. Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
I yeah.
yeah, is that also what how your friends would describe you?
My friends and family would describe me as probably someone very determined
Mhm.
and very like stubborn in a way, that not wanting to give up even if someone says, "Hey, you can't do that." I would say, "Well, I'm very persistent because I like to keep going even if I have a drawback. I will find a way around it to get to a better place." That was persistence is my flight instructor, Major General John Barry, who was my flight instructor. His favorite word was persistence, because during my flight training, it was through COVID for one thing. And there had been a very big fire, which just set back us a few weeks.
Mhm.
And then there's the weather that's also accountable, because you can't fly in really high winds, because Colorado, you get this thing called a wave. And if you're in the airports right underneath the mountains, and with the wave, it comes over and it gives really turbulent air. And it's not very good for a glider to be being towed up and then be bounced off. And it's not very fun. So that was really hard to get around. But being persistent was one way to stay up for that. And I would also think that my family would are very supportive with that. They really think that if they could have a chance to do that, and if they had time, because a lot of my friends and family are very big athletes. So if they had time during like next year or during the summer, if they had a chance to do something like flying, they would probably take the chance. But
Okay, so you're not alone there in that sense.
Yeah.
Great. Now, just two more final questions from my side, Makayla. What would your advice be to the people around you, young and old, given what you've experienced so far?
I'd say never give up, especially since there's many ways of STEM and aviation you can choose from. And it's never too bad to ask questions, especially when you're wondering what something is or wondering how to get there. Just ask a question because people are really would love to tell you and answer those questions. Yeah.
Good, great answer, actually. So, when do you expect the whole mission to the moon, the mission to Mars, going to take place? Is that reality? When is it going to become reality?
I think it will be reality soon. I've heard about the Artemis program. Right now, they're working up to sending people back to the moon. I think the first woman, I'm not really sure. I have to look into it. Haven't been really on top of it lately, but I heard up in 2024 they'll be sending people up back to the moon and potentially setting up a base up there to possibly help send rockets from the moon to Mars. So can't wait to see when they get that done.
Well, final question. When are you gonna be there?
When I'm gonna be there, hopefully in the next few years. I'd love to.
Great. Well, Makayla, I want to thank you so much for spending time with the brand called You, because your story demonstrates that persistence, great word in this case. If you really want to do something, you can do it. It takes effort. And I'm just glad you are a showcase of what you can achieve if you be persistent. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. Hey, there was the brand called You with Makayla Galler. And Makayla, thank you so much. We hope to hear soon from you. Front page, first woman on Mars. That sounds like a thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.